Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Newsround for Anfield Index. It is Thursday, the 27th of November, and we're into those, I suppose you'd call it cold, dark mornings. And to be fair, that pretty much describes what it's like being a Liverpool fan right now, isn't it? These are bad times. Not really under the way of dressing it up at all. There's a lot to not be happy about. And whatever I say, whatever I go through today, your opinion will be set. You're going to be angry. You're going to be sad. You're going to be apathetic, probably some of you, which is maybe the most dangerous thing we could be at the same time. You just wonder if in the worst possible way, today could be the day in terms of his future. I'm your host, Dave Davis, coming to you from, say, a pretty cold, dark, gloomy Edinburgh, which is pretty much how it sits for us right now. Because we asked that question, how are we? I think in maybe the most bizarrest way, 99.99% of the fan base is in agreement that this is the time now. Arne Slot has to go. The situation has become untenable. And I always think of it in terms of this. If you ever watch The Sopranos, there's that scene when they find out Vito's gay and they talk about what they're going to do in the clubhouse. And Bobby Bagliari goes, we can't have him in our clubhouse, that much is sure. And then Carlo, one of the capos, turns around and go, in the clubhouse, he's got to go. And that is a little bit how it feels right now for me. I think he just has to go. There has to be something happen that you've looked at the results post that international break where we were abject at City. And since we come back, it's got worse. Genuinely, we maybe thought that wasn't possible. But you think of Forest at home, you think it can't get worse than that. Oh, it can. Because last night, 4-1 at home against PSV. And this isn't meant to be disrespectful, but PSV are not a physical team. They're not a long ball team. They're not a Premier League team. It's the Eredivisie. And they're beating us 4-1 at Anfield. I think it's just absolutely done. I'm not really sure there's another way of describing it. In terms of the one singular positive, let's get that out the way early doors. As he said, Dominic Szoboszlai has been on fire this season in the Champions League. Dominic Szoboszlai has been the only redeeming feature so far, full stop, of our season. Easily the player of the season, unfortunately, because there's absolutely zero competition for him. And he deserved his goal last night. Someone deserves something, I suppose. But you almost looked and, he was right back last game. Curtis Jones went to right back this one. So, he's put back in his favoured position. But they're almost asking Szoboszlai now, when you watch the game, to do it all for us. Can you be the 10 that presses from the front? Because none of our front line can actually press. Can you at sometimes as well just drop into the 6? Because we've not got anyone else with the ability to sort of progress it and move it forward. Can you also win the midfield battle? Because McAllister looks like he's running around with a parachute on his back, and Gravenberch, some of his elements are inexcusable at the moment. So we're asking Dominic Szoboszlai to do everything. And then we're kind of almost surprised a little bit when he can't. Just shocking, really, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of takes across social media and on different bits today. And it's right to talk about some players as well. That there's just so much, again, you cannot argue with. I mean, Barry tweeted this 8 minutes into the game. 8 minutes in, and hopefully this ages terribly. But it honestly doesn't feel like anyone in the pitch or the dugout or in the stands genuinely believes Liverpool can win here. And you just had that gut feeling, didn't you? That, I mean, you think they'd learn the lesson and clearly don't. And not learning lessons is one of Arne Slot's biggest charges that you can level against him. Still, keep it tight, be aggressive from the off, get the fans up, all those types of things. None of it. Slow, ponderous, weak in the challenge. PSV were easily the better team. in that first period up to the goal and deserved the goal, if you're honest. And then Liverpool did wake up a little bit with the equaliser, and all the way up to half-time, you were thinking, this is decent, actually. Let's not start for revisionism here. It wasn't brilliant, but the rest of the first half belonged to Liverpool without doubt. And you went into half-time thinking, okay, there's a little bit there. And I have no idea what got said in the changing room at half-time. But that was maybe a new record, as in the worst second-half performance under Arne Slot. I genuinely have no idea what happened. Embarrassing is the word that I keep coming back to. And as it ends there, as it said, PSV created more big chances than Liverpool tonight, 5 against our 4. And there are actually times it could have been more. They just didn't quite execute on the break, did they? This is all a new low. And if you watch the press conference as well, Arne Slot looks a little bit beaten, in the last few, and it didn't look any different. It's interesting, Johnny Brad there saying, I'm numb and lost for words. And then there's a few words that need to be said, but I know Arne Slot's not got them right now and probably doesn't know what to say quite for the better, for the worse. But just have a listen to what he said about the effort after the game.
I try to put as much effort in as I can to improve the situation. Not only me, by the way, my staff does the same, and the players are putting in a lot of effort as well. Although sometimes when you look at 3-0 loss, 4-1 loss, you tend to feel as if we don't do enough. But again, today I saw a team that was trying after multiple setbacks, but unfortunately not able to get a result.
Not seeing the same thing at all. And he mentioned the results, you could look at it just that way. But we said this after the Forest game. Players like, being honest as well, they were crap again. Gravenberch and Gakpo shitting out at 50-50s against Forest. And they were two players that were abject again in this one. But in terms of the whole team, when he talks about effort, Curtis Jones' interview, which we'll talk about as well, told you the story that that's not the case at all. And this squad busting their balls for that shirt and giving it everything, I think you'd have to be a fool to say they are. You really would. So, yeah, people talk about Slot gaslighting us there in the chat panel. There's not so much you can say in his defence in that regard. And, you can't make players run. It should just be a minimum. But we didn't agree with those sentiments whatsoever. And you think of some serious numbers on this, and there's a few numbers bits I want to get to. Barry was right there. We said, basically, this is a 6-1 v Stoke. If you take into account the quality of the squad and the fact it's Anfield, it has to be the end. Do you remember when Brodge came to the end? You knew this was the case, so I agree with that. Look at this for a stat as well. Liverpool have conceded 3+ goals in 3 consecutive games in all competitions for the first time since September 1992. And he was on the screen there as well, and it's right to start to talk about certain players shortly. Mamardashvili, a million levels away from Alisson, and it's not ultimately just his fault, don't get me wrong, what's going in, but you think of some of the goals, could he have done better? Not all of them by any means, but just doesn't inspire confidence, does he, for a start? Yeah. There's another clip I want to play for you as well, that Arne Slot, again, he's trying to pull him apart. And then I will say this, because there's a few comments in the chat panel, jib it right now. Whatever you think, and I think he should go. He absolutely now has to go, just to be clear on that. But let's be respectful of a man who's won us a league title. And I actually think he's a decent guy, genuinely trying his best. He's got a lot of faults, no doubt about it. I do think he should go again. But let's not be respectful to a guy, or disrespectful, sorry, to a guy who's won us the league title. But just have a listen to what he said for this bit.
Do you think it's, there's been discussion about your position. Do you think that's fair after somebody who has won the title 5-6 months ago?
No, I don't think it's important if it's fair or not, but that it's normal, that I understand. If any manager around the world loses football games, let alone so many as we've lost, it's quite normal that people have an opinion about that. And if that's fair or not fair, that's for other people to judge. But that it's normal. I think it is that if you lose so many times that people start talking about that.
He knows. He absolutely knows. He said it's right. It doesn't matter whether you think it's fair, unfair, whatever. You lose 9 in 12. You're on the run that you are. You're only just above Wolves in the form table, having lost 6 out of your last 7 in the Premier League. It is what it is. I think, as Tyre says there, the man's broken. I think Arne Slot, broken is a fair word. What I would say right now, as I watch him in his press conferences and just watch him, you can say like a rabbit in the headlines, he looks beaten to me. But the way this team has down tools on him, as it says on the strapline there, it's time to go. And there's a few other tweets and things it's absolutely fair to call out in this one. As Sam Maguire tweeted this morning, and, you've got to lay some things hard at Arne Slot's feet. We've seen absolutely nothing to suggest he knows how to get the best out of the £400 million worth of talent we signed. And we're almost into December. There's a bigger concern than results. There's nothing to point to poor performance being tied to transition. I agree with that. It's that question we've said before. Is Arne Slot getting the most out of this side and the talent that he has? Absolutely not. What we're asking him to do a little bit, or you want him to do, is there's deficiencies in the squad still with all that money spent, but there's enough quality to paper over the cracks until now. And he's absolutely not doing that. He's also not learning the lessons, is your big worry. It looks like a side that's uncoached almost. It looks like a side that is just doing the same things over and over again. And the loyalty to some players as well is what's ending him. The loyalty to Gakpo, to me, is just absolutely staggering. We're seeing what Gakpo's doing or not doing week on week. I adore Mo Salah. He's my favourite player. But there's a strong case to take him out the team and try something else. I don't think it's all Salah's fault, as people are leaning towards. But Arne Slot, it's that definition of insanity, isn't it? When you're doing the same thing time and time again and expecting different results. One of the many reasons, I'm afraid, why the man has to go now. And Gibbo tweeted this. I know it's on his Substack if you want to read it now. Time to act, even if it's hurts. And just this first line's true. Liverpool have hit a point where waiting much longer feels like self-inflicted damage. In a way, and it's as much as the manager, the head coach, ultimately carries the can, I think it needs to be done because it's the right thing. The position's untenable, but it also just sends a shot across the bow to the players because they have down tools on them, or in a little bit. You can't forget that. And we need to remember that somewhat. There's some of these players, I know he talks about effort, but we know that's nonsense, have not done enough. And we need to remember that ultimately. There's that saying in boxing that, there's 2 types of fighters. The ones that go out on the shield, or the ones that if they swallow, they'll swallow again. And some of these Liverpool players are absolutely swallowing it time and time again and getting away with it. As Reform John says there, half the team are down tools. It's obvious. I don't agree that Salah's the ringleader. I don't agree with that at all. But there's a lot to accuse these players of, as much as Arne Slot's got to go at the same time. And, I mean, this almost felt like a new low. Say that starting up to there. Virgil van Dijk has conceded 3 penalties in all competition this season, more than any other Premier League player. The skipper was abysmal last night, wasn't he? Absolutely abysmal. I mean, the handball, I don't know what he was shouting about. It's stupid putting your arm up, doing what you're doing. A complete brain fart. Completely him. No two ways about it. Then sliding in to see for a yellow card, giving it away. The skipper was all over the place. And, you know, as much as he's an icon, an absolute legend, you sometimes got to look and say, not good enough from you. Because remember, on Saturday, as we were told by various journalists, Virgil van Dijk was super loud in that tunnel, you know, accusing the players of other things. Graham Souness said it, didn't he? The top players look at themselves in the mirror and say, you know, Virgil should be looking in his mirror today and going, that was a disgrace last night. Should be, you know, one of the ones to take responsibility at the same time. Now, this bit is important. This goal that took them 2-1 up. I'm seeing just everyone wants to lay it at the feet of one person, or it was this, it was that. It can all be true. As Sam Maguire tweets here, their player, Marouane Jr., takes it past Salah just inside the PSV half and is able to carry the ball about 30 yards without a Liverpool player getting close to him. No compactness at all. Absolutely. It's pretty lazy from Salah, so you could say that. But it's what happens once the ball goes past him. There's absolutely no one makes an effort to get across. And genuinely, I'm circling him there next to the referee, who actually sprinted more than Ryan Gravenberch in this situation. Watch it back. He was jogging across. Pathetic. Not good enough in these scenarios. McAllister didn't do much. And look when he's playing this pass. Look how much space he's got. It's not acceptable. And I've seen defenders of Kirkes come back to this, and this is right, absolutely. Not good enough from that midfield, but it's also not good enough from Milos Kirkes at the same time, because you can see he starts in front of the attacker and doesn't cover it across. So for everyone going, oh, it's this, it's that, it's this. Collective responsibility. It's lazy from Salah. It's pathetic from Gravenberch to not come across. It's lazy from McAllister as well. Look at the space he's got. No one closes it down. It's also so poor from Kirkes to let him get in front of it. So it's a collective failing there. We'll want to point fingers. Atrocious across the board. And speaking of atrocious, this is honestly, I tweeted this. You call me a megalomaniac. I don't give a shit for showing this tweet. Still hard to believe people defend Cody Gakpo week after week watching this. Cody Gakpo has been poor this season, but since you come back from international break, that Forest game, shit out at 50-50s repeatedly, missed chances or got into good spaces against Forest and did nothing. In this one, again, lazy on the press. Again, missed great chances. Do you remember that cross from Szoboszlai? We should just head it in. It's harder to miss. How Cody Gakpo is starting in this team week in, week out, I have no idea. And genuinely, I think it's the part of that loyalty to players like that that will ultimately end the reign of Arne Slot, unfortunately. Now, this interview's got a lot of traction, and I've got issues with this, I've got to be honest. The Curtis Jones one, and it's annoying, I'd love to play it to you, but we get shut down, don't we, and copyrighted by CBS in that regard. So if you haven't watched it, do. It's about a minute or so long. And Curtis Jones, talks about, I'm a fan, I'm this, so I feel it more. Look at this for a quote. Just be a dog out there. It's got to be on me and the lads to turn this around and not be so nice. And he talks about running and tackling, and all those bits. I think sometimes Jamie Carragher talks absolute nonsense at times, but it's all opinions, isn't it? But we talk about player responsibility there. No, Curtis Jones, what's stopping you running? What's stopping you rattling someone? Is there someone who thinks we're going to be upset if players start rattling into challenges or running around or clattering things? Like, it's the whole point you're not doing that that's got us here. So as much as, talk is cheap, as the expression goes. And I know Carragher said afterwards that, like, Salah, should come out. Others should come. I don't think I want to hear from them that much. I want to see it on the pitch. And that's what's not happening. But yeah, as much as Curtis is being praised, did you see him really rattling around? Did you see him busting a nut last night? Just something to think about, yeah. In terms of one player as well, and it's almost comical a little bit of where it is right now with this player. But speaking of Konate, as Barry tweeted there, another mistake there from the man who won't be around next year to face the consequences of whatever happens this season. I mean, this is how bad it is right now. If Konate signed the new deal, because you probably do wonder whether, what Real Madrid are thinking, PSG, whoever watching this as they are at the moment. So Konate did sign the deal. Is it that much of a boost, of a fill-up right now? But to me, again, another mistake, another error. It's just what you expect. You're almost surprised when Konate doesn't make an error, in all honesty, nowadays. And you can say how disrespectful to a guy at moments it's true, has been world-class for us. But it's abject what he's serving right now. And it's telling, really telling, that Arne Slot was asked about Konate specifically in the presser after. So just have a listen to this one.
Just to check then, take it that Konate's substitution was purely tactical rather than taking him out of the firing line.
Yeah, I find that one difficult because up to the moment you were just describing, I think he played a good game. But if you go 3-1 down, I think what I've always done and what I will keep doing is then bring an extra attacker in. And I found that hard because I knew that the outside world would probably then focus even more on the error he made. But I think it was the decision I had to make, but unfortunately didn't lead to anything except then that they scored the 4-1.
Yeah, it was tactical. And all right, he didn't come off with a smile this time, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, in simple terms, I know we spent 450 million in the summer, and obviously we recouped a large part of it. But I think you're seeing more and more, as much as I think the manager needs to go, we need reinforcements big time, don't we, in January? Might have to bring forward summer's business at the moment, the way it's going. One thing I've got real umbrage with yesterday, though, was we were watching afterwards. Did you see the TNT coverage? Now, I want to be careful how I put this because Stevie's on there and he's absolutely one of my heroes, of course. And I think it's fair to say he's probably being a bit mindful of the situation because there's even a possible interim role for him and obviously an ambassador for the club and all that. But I got real umbrage with the TNT coverage yesterday. I mean, Lindsay Hitgrave, as a tweet goes there, as the presenter, apologised to Gerrard and McManaman for asking if Arne Slot's position is under threat. Why are you apologising? It's a direct question that 99% of Liverpool fans, it's just the ones in, the former players and the media that are steering away from that. And Steve McManaman's absolute nonsense. It's far too early to be questioning the future of Arne Slot. What are you talking about? He should go now. He could have potentially gone after Forest. I think almost at times as you want former players insight into the game and certain bits. I always think there's a value to having them. Of course there is on punditry. But when they give the wider opinions, I just sometimes think it comes out that they're out of touch a little bit with the fan base. And again, I think Stevie's going to be mindful of what he's saying a little bit right now. But McManaman, absolute pish. In terms of what the patch journos are saying, I think this is pretty telling at the same time as well. And shout out to Beth Lindop, who I've told Steele and Lynch, she's probably gone top of the rankings for the tweets recently. But look at that. Just when you think Liverpool's season can't get any worse, they conspire to deliver another disaster. Following on from Saturday, There's been nowhere near enough of a reaction from a group who look entirely devoid of confidence. So Bosley, again, the only one with any credit. Absolutely spot on. Yeah, nowhere near enough of a reaction from Arne Slot, from the players. Yeah, and right, best spot on. It's only Bosley that comes out with any credit. Now, I'll have David Lynch on Media Matters later on today. And even as he says, I mean, that's a damning tweet, isn't it? Arne Slot is a league-winning Liverpool manager, one of only 2 in the last 35 years, and deserves every respect. However, I'm not sure he could or should survive this. 9 defeats in 12 and 7 goals conceded in the last 2 at Anfield. This squad is so much better than that. Can't argue with a word of it, can you? And that, I think, it's quite telling when the patch journos are saying that they've nowhere else to really go at the moment, have they? Now, talking about having to go, the GOAT tweeted and retweeted something interesting last night. So as India tweeted with exclusive, Liverpool Football Club is holding an emergency meeting tomorrow to discuss the pressing issue of the team's poor performance and the future of Arne Slot. High-level officials from FSG are ready to make tough decisions. And Indy also retweeted this from Max A LFC saying, Richard Hughes has had a couple of conversations with some of the leadership group from the squad last night. Quite rightly as well. They should be having meetings. One of the things that, again, it's sticking in my craw a little bit, the way people and even some fans are saying it. Because if you were saying in the chat panel, who could we get or who could we possibly get in this situation? Fuck me, we're Liverpool Football Club. There should only be a few managers out of reach for us. Are you telling me managers across the world aren't looking at that and going, Christ, I'd love a crack with that squad. Those players, those abilities, I think I could get a tune out of them. And people talk about names. Obviously, Hughes, Edwards, all the suits should be talking right now. And they might well be looking at an Iraola, a Glasner, maybe thinking they're good enough, maybe not. But I bet they get more of a tune out of us than Arne Slot is right now. And you've heard the names wider, Valverde, Fabregas and all this. By the way, because people say, well, asking me in the chat panel, who do I think it should be? I don't carry a file of facts of manager's name. I'm not like, okay, F. Ferguson, no, he's out of work. G. Guardiola, he'll never come. Like, what are you looking at me for? It shouldn't be on fans to come up with that answer. That's what Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes are paid serious money for. And they should be in conversation. I'm hoping they are. I expect they are if they do get the reputation they have with others right now. But let's stop with the who can Liverpool get? This is Liverpool Football Club, for God's sake. Managers would, claw with their bare hands, to be in possession of that squad right now. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted for 1 second. And there's a super chat there. So thank you for that from Soel1 saying Arne has to go, but so does Salah, Van Dijk and a lot of them. Slot is a scapegoat. What about the so-called leaders of this football club? Salah has been awful. Van Dijk also, and Alisson is often injured. Disagree largely with that. I've got to be honest that, yeah, absolutely, Slot has to go for me. But, a lot of that, I think we just need to be careful as well. Just need to be respectful about legends of the game, legends of Liverpool. Let's just be mindful of that at the moment. Also, players that you'll need if you are going to turn this around at the same time. Players that look uncoached. But I do take the point, a lot of players are down tools, and we shouldn't forget that a little bit as well. The only final thing I think it's worth touching on, please, for the love of God, can we jib the Liverpool Legends chat of they're coming back in, as in, I don't want to hear Stevie as an interim. I don't. He's an icon, a legend, a man I adore. He's a horrendous coach. I don't. Because it can go disastrously wrong. Remember, something like Glenn Hoddle at Spurs. I don't want to hear that at all. I also don't want to hear all the, Jurgen back really in the interim. I think it would be a bit of a disaster in all honesty. He said, he's retired. He doesn't want to do the stuff on the coach line. What would it say, if Jurgen Klopp came back as well? So can we jib all that? Liverpool should be looking for now and the future. Yeah. And again, people saying it shouldn't be Glasner or Iraola. Well, again, I'm saying I don't carry a file of facts around with names. The suits are paid a lot of money to come up with solutions for this, and they should be looking at it right now. It's sad to say, but there's apathy set in a lot of places. But on Thursday, the 27th of November, Liverpool have to act quickly. And for a guy I like, and we wanted it to succeed, but we should still be respectful to, Arne Slot should be relieved of his duties as Liverpool head coach. Misery loves company, eh? Thursday, the 27th of November. That was another news round for Anfield Index.